Throughout his prolific career, Grammy-nominated Nigerian musician Femi Kuti has stood as a powerful voice for social justice, carrying forward the revolutionary Afrobeat legacy pioneered by his father, the great Fela Kuti. Now, known for his unflinching critiques of political corruption and social inequality, Femi has used his heady mix of funk, jazz and highlife as a tool for resistance and change. But on his latest album, Journey Through Life, he turns inward, balancing those political themes with deeply personal reflections on family, life and growth. He's taking that journey on tour, and he joins me now. Femi Kuti, what an absolute pleasure and delight to have you with me. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Big pleasure for me too.
Now, you know, you walk in the mighty footsteps of your father. Would you ever get fed up of being introduced as the son of?
No, never really. I mean, I always had a problem when people probably thought this or compared me because I just wanted to live my life, basically. And I love my father unapologetically. So I didn't see any comparison. I didn't see competition. I adored him. I respected him. And I really couldn't understand that. I mean, so it used to upset me. I was always trying to explain, he's my father. I didn't see, there's no way, there are no two ways to this. And so, and I adored him. I mean, I saw the beatings, I witnessed so much. I will never tell you he was perfect, never. He had his flaws, as we all do. But he was my father, and I accepted that.
No, absolutely.
And so it was like that for me.
Absolutely. We're going to come back and talk about your dad properly a bit later on, but I just wonder, from what you've just said then, whether or not it's been a challenge for people to fully see your identity within that legacy.
I think these days people understand I have my own path to live, and I had my own journey. I think people appreciate what I've done in my career. It's been, I mean, my father was huge, and to even have a little voice there, I think people understood how difficult it was with all so many naysayers. I mean, people thought, especially back home in Nigeria, even everywhere really, it was a big challenge for me to have a voice and create my own path. I think eventually, it took a long time, but eventually people started to respect me. I had this saying when I was growing up, because a lot of people, especially his fan base, and probably himself, wanted me to remain with him till he passed and take over like culture and tradition. But
Yes.
my thinking was, what if I died before him? Then that means I didn't live. I was living his life. That
Yes.
means I
Where's
didn't
your
have a
own
journey.
legacy? Absolutely. Where's
So
your own legacy?
yeah, so I I thought it felt kind of depressing for me to think I'm waiting for my father to die before I want to take over. So that thought disturbed me a lot growing up. So I didn't want him to, I wasn't looking forward ever for him to live life or leave me one day. I didn't want that as a child, as a teenager, as an adult. So it wasn't part of my thoughts. So I thought I better start my journey and start creating my own path quickly and feeling my pain and my success. And so I created my journey. And I think probably that's one of the best decisions I did in my life.
Well, talking about that journey, it brings me very nicely onto your new album, because that's what it's all about. And you've actually spoken quite a lot about shifting inward. So, what was it that prompted that change? Kind of moving away from the political activism and more on the birds and the bees and life and love and history and family and important things.
I think looking inwards is as important as all that as well. I think what we fail to do as human beings is we're very critical about situations, and we fail. Education doesn't let us look inwards to be the biggest critics of ourselves. So it's easy to criticize others and you make the same mistakes, especially with leadership, we see. So opposition always criticizes the government. When they take power, they fail because they have not corrected all those things they were critical of themselves. They are arrogant, they are pompous, they're not perfect. So when they get power, they're not flawless, and they get there and they get confused. I think no leadership wants to be unpopular, but because education has not taught us to be self-disciplined as individuals, like I think virtues are a very important subject that we should practice in school, patience and things like this, tolerance. And education is always about me, my. You want to be the best in school. You don't care about your classmates. You just want to be. It's all about you. There's no collective subject that makes you be concerned about the next person sitting to you. We always want to excel, and we make fun of the person who is not doing as well. I think those are flaws we develop growing up and we become adults. So it's always about us. And so the books I read, I said to look, I've been trying to look inwards all my life. So I thought I should sing about it. And this is really my focus these days. One of the tracks, Work on Myself, I think is one of my favorites on the album, is when you look at it politically, from the time Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Patrice Lumumba, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Africa has gotten worse. Everything just, you find yourself, especially when you are politically involved like myself, and seeing my father, the amount of times he was beaten, imprisoned, things have gotten worse. So what's the problem? Sometimes you feel helpless. So I came to the conclusion that I might not be able to change the world, but I can change the universe within myself. I think a lot of people find themselves in this kind of predicament. And since it's quite impossible to even change the next person next to you, they have their views and they have their own way of life. But one thing we know we can do, we can change ourselves. We can keep making ourselves better people. So I vowed a long time ago, and I thought I should put in the album to work on myself. I'll make myself a better musician. If I was working 2 hours practice a day, I will increase it by double, triple. I will be a better father. I will be there for, look, I will do everything to make myself a better person,
Yeah,
basically.
absolutely. Your description of the political elite being confused is very kind. But also, I just wonder, is working on yourself enough for you, given that history of activism?
Yeah, because it makes me confident when I'm critical about others, because I'm sure that I'm very tolerant. I'm sure, I'm convinced I care. I'm sure I'll not make the kind of mistakes many of the leadership or people I criticize make. I'm very sure leadership doesn't want to be unpopular. They just haven't been schooled, so they always take the wrong decisions. Before they make those decisions, they think they are convinced within themselves that this is the best and it's a popular decision. Then they take it and they just see, wow, everybody's against me. They get confused and they keep on making mistake after mistake till they lose the next election or they're disposed. So, but I don't see anybody that wants to be, there's no person that wants to be unpopular. No human being. We strive to be popular. Education teaches us we want to be loved. We want to be hailed. We want to be respected. But the way we go about it is what is wrong because we don't have self-discipline. We don't have those virtues of life. We don't know how to love. We pretend a lot. We lie to ourselves. We lie to the public. So this is definitely the political world. They lie. They lie. They tell too many lies. And when you go to their youth, you probably find out they were liars all their life. And you see, they grew up with this vice or this attitude. So, of course, when you give them that responsibility of leadership, we can say, beating our chests fully, leadership globally has failed. It has completely, the amount of bombs and billions, trillions that are spent on making bombs would feed this world. This world should be booming with peace and love. Why do we still create wars? Why do we still create bombs? Is that this? So leadership, you go there and you still think bombs is the answer. The United Nations, which problem has the world solved? We go to Haiti, Somalia, Sudan. It's just more money, more violence, more bombs. Congo, look at Congo. Look at Nigeria, the insurgents in Nigeria. Everywhere gets worse. People don't smile anymore. You go into the tube, everybody's just self-centered. You don't care about who's sitting next to you. In my culture, you wake up and you say good morning. You're walking on the street, you're saying, hello, good morning, how are you? How are the children? We're even losing that here. In England and Europe and America, this is even worse. You don't talk to the next person next to you. You don't care. Even, is it fair? I can't even understand that. So you see, our attitude as human beings, we have failed. Education and leadership has failed us to guide us to care. We don't care about the universe. We don't care about the world. We we don't care about anything. It's
Okay,
all selfish interest.
okay, but you must also accept that we too have our own accountability.
Yes, that's why
And
we have to work on ourselves.
no, absolutely. And you almost did like a quick whistle stop tour around the world there in terms of the serious issues that we are faced with daily. And obviously, you know, the big one is immigration and otherness. What concerns you most about the state of the world today?
Everything. Talking about immigration, let's even go to the forefront of how immigration became a serious issue in Europe. Europe has been part and parcel of the downfall of many parts of the world. And when the immigration started from Syria and all these places, they were part of this problem. Europe, as Germany and all these countries could not believe when the migrants just had to walk all those miles through impossibility to reach Europe, crossing the sea till today, risking their lives, their children, and they just arrived at their border and they had nothing but to open their borders. Africa, I can speak for one. What are we doing to ensure the governments of Africa create a good environment for their people? Why are the people leaving? This is the question we must ask. Why are the people leaving? Why don't you hold leadership in Africa accountable for the corruption? Why are you dealing with corrupt leaders? You know, because it favors you to take these resources, pretend to your people that you have done business on their behalf to the detriment of the lives of others. So already that system is failed. Where you should be sitting down saying, you need to create good universities, you need to create good education, you need to create roads, you need to create hospitals. And when leadership, for instance, comes to Europe for healthcare, send them back. Why don't you have healthcare in your country. Oh, so you as a leader, take the resources of your country to come for the best healthcare here, and you leave your own people to die. And you accept, Europeans and Americans accept this. So there has to be a point where leadership has to stand firm and hold everybody has to be held accountable for every action. Every action we take, we have to be held accountable. And work on yourself is you hold yourself accountable for that. I can't blame anybody if my children are not well brought up. I am first, I have to be accountable for that. As a father, as a parent, it's my responsibility to make sure and give them the love and common sense to be able to battle their way through life. Education helps with that. But as a parent, it's your priority. And this comes to leadership. When leadership doesn't hold itself accountable, check and balances, as they say, it's why we're in all this chaos. So who do you blame for? Okay, you want to take all the immigrants. How can you look after everybody and their children now? So it was already um, a failed, not sub, a failed.
Approach, shall we call it?
Yes,
Let's call it an approach. But you see, the
yes.
thing is, I just wonder, Femi, with you saying what you say, I know that you go even further and you describe it as people running away. And then the analogy that you draw is people running away to modern slavery somewhere else, when actually what they should be doing is staying at home and sorting out the
So
problems
can I just say
themselves.
something to you? In the
Yes.
70s, we used to have free healthcare here. We had a teaching hospital here. It was free. It was so clean. The environment was so good. It was. I used to pray to fall sick because my mother was admitted there. That's how.
That's how good it was.
Yes.
Yes.
And the doctors of that era, most of them left to work in America, Europe, or Canada. Their children are now Canadians. They didn't believe in the system. And many of them gave themselves excuses when Fela was criticizing corruption here. If everybody, if the jurisdiction, the lawyers, the judges had stood firm to defend all their their jobs, Nigeria, for instance, will not be where it is. We will not have allowed the military dictatorship to thrive. The healthcare will still be one of the best in the world today. But they left. They didn't believe and they were not ready to fight. You see, the British have nowhere to run to. The Americans have nowhere to run to. So they will protest, they will fight to ensure that these facilities are well governed and are intact because they have nowhere to go. If I travel with my musicians, they run away because they will run to America, they will run to England, and England and America will welcome them. But if I travel with British people or French or anywhere, I can sleep at night because they have nowhere to run to. It will be, how do they explain to their fellow French or British or Americans, I ran away on tour? I mean, how they don't even think, they can't even comprehend it. You are running where? Where are you running to? Why don't I run? I have all the, I'm even British, but I have to believe. My training is to believe in my people, in my society. It has to work. So we build the shrine in Lagos. It has to work. We have to make it work. We have nowhere else to go. So I think this is a mindset of that we should have as Africans or as a people. We have to make our immediate environment work and stand and believe it has to work. So that there's no excuse. You can't give yourself an excuse. And then the worst excuse is you leave, then you are now critical when things go wrong. That what are you people back home doing to make sure it's not getting worse? You didn't believe and ran away, moved your family out, then you are critical about the deterioration of the system of the society when you are not part of it. When you were supposed, if you had defended it in the 70s, we'll probably be not where we are today in 2026. When Obasanjo comes back to power in Nigeria in 1999, Why? He's a military guy. He should even know that his training is not to be a politician. So he should have even surrendered that, no, it's not my duty to come back to rule. I am trained to fight, kill, and defend my country, not govern. He wasn't trained. His education is not that. As Colin Powell, when they told him to take over after the Afghanistan and Iraq war, he said, no, that's not his training. You see, that's a good soldier. And then the intellectuals allowed him and Buhari to come back into power. When the intellectuals surrender their intelligence to corruption, already that's a failed system. When we can't defend and say, no, you are a soldier, you have no right, go back to the barracks. That's where you are. You are trained to defend, not rule society. No, that's not your training. So you see, the present administration is not the problem. The whole foundation is corrupt. The judiciary is corrupt. Everything is corrupt. So elections can be rigged. Because when the president of Nigeria has so much baggage and is allowed to contest, the judiciary has failed. But if the intellectuals had stood firm, he wouldn't have even been able to contest in the first place. So from day one, the constitution, everything was wrong. So who are the fathers that sat on that? What did they want? A governor will get salary for the rest of his life. Just for 4 or 8 years. Pensioners who have served 60 years of their life haven't been paid their pension. And just because you are governor or the president or the senator, you now get life, and you and your family get paid forever. Now, by the time you are paying 1,000 of them, who is funding all this? Where are the thinkers? You see, so everything from the foundation already was based on corruption, selfishness, all the wrong things. So, of course, it's going to end up problematic.
You see, the thing is, and I hear what you say. I'm sure you're aware that in the UK, it's been kind of not uprising, Africa rising for about the last 15 years through sport, through entertainment, through commerce, through fashion, through style. The whole thing is huge. And it's been absolutely a delight to behold. But if we think about the young people then, say, back in Nigeria, who maybe did not take this path that you're talking about and running away, what is there for them when you talk about the backdrop being so full of this kind of incendiary corruption? Why shouldn't they go?
And then when you go, don't complain. Simple. When you go, don't complain things are bad back home. Just shut up your mouth. If you can't defend to make things better, if you're not going to be part of the solution, don't be part of the problem. Simple.
Okay, that's interesting as well because
I grew up in the time of Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, Africa. We must do things for ourselves. You know, so many young people don't know who Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is. They don't know Patrice Lumumba. I met somebody yesterday in my club who said he used to listen to one of my songs, Wonder Wonder, and he had to go to America. And he said to say, oh, I was dancing to this song, and he didn't even realize what he was dancing for. Now he says he's a Pan-Africanist, and he wants to come back and blah, blah, contribute to development and all that. Yeah. But these are leaders that should be, they should be in the forefront of our education to inspire young people. These are great people. Patrice Lumumba, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Marcus Garvey, people like this, Thomas Sankara. These are books I read that, wow, their bravery, wow, their attitude towards life. They inspired me. So these are the books primary school students should be reading to inspire them to be committed, to be patriotic. You see, when you run away from your problem, how can you come back and be critical about that same problem you ran away from? How do you work that out?
I think, as I say, this thing is just so complicated, and if you talk about the young people and you talk about the young people from today, the climate is so different, Femi, from our climate. You know, in our time, it was a time when mastering your craft and being an expert at something really counted for something. But
And
now,
then that means we fail the leadership failed the younger generation. Education failed the younger generation.
you think that's what it means?
Yes.
You
As a
don't think
father, that means the parents have failed their children by not letting them understand, seeing what we went through. In my house, we discuss my father, his flaws, his where he's right. We discuss my life. These are things that are very important. Of course, we're still going to make mistakes in my home, but it's a topic that we discuss their character, my character. Your home is your sanctuary where you have to, we have to keep on talking about these things. Yes, I have children who are doing TikTok and all this. And you see, I don't mind them doing TikTok, but come, you better read your book. Oh. You
yes.
better do well because your father is working hard to pay your school fees. So you better read your book. And when they do badly, come, they still, I will not let them rest. It's so hard to get them to read a book on Malcolm X or the Nigerian Civil War because everybody is going, blah, 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 blah. I have, yes, it's for me too, it's a problem, but I will not let them rest. Every day, I will show them the book. See, read this book. Oh, how can you not want to know about the Civil War? How can you not want to know about the First World War, the Second World War? Why won't you want to know about history? Why do you think life started and will end with you?
No.
When we know this world is millions of years old and you don't want to know, you just want to know about yourself. It's not possible. That's selfish thought. So I have that problem too. But I didn't create social media, but it's a battle as a parent, I have to go because I'm worried. Now, this is leadership in my house. Now, leadership generally, this should be the attitude of every leader because these children are going to take over leadership one day. And if they don't have the historical facts, of course, they are going to make very silly mistakes. What
No,
what are they going to leave for their children? So,
no.
of course, what has happened is the world has deteriorated over the years because, like I said, leadership has failed globally. It's not just in Nigeria, globally. Leadership has failed. Not in England. I told you about England. People don't smile. People don't smile in France. You go to the metro. I go on the metro. People don't smile. Everybody is just so self-centered and thinking about their personal problems. In our own community, everybody was concerned about your problems. You could discuss it in the market. You go to the market. Oh, how is your child? Oh, she's not feeling too well. Oh, what's wrong with her? We spend minutes discussing before you now go to say, oh, can I have some tomatoes?
Absolutely. I think that that's the thing, isn't it? And I know that it's an African saying about it taking a village to raise a child, but it absolutely does. It almost takes a world, doesn't it, really, when you think about all of the various
It's why I have the
influences.
album One People, One World. As much as I'm a Pan Africanist, I understand that we all have to learn to live together. We all have, there's too much intermarriage, there's too much, everybody is mixing together that we have to make this world is like a big house. And if we don't understand the importance of loving one another, we're all going to be in trouble. Britain will be in trouble, Nigeria will be in trouble, everybody is already in trouble. Every time we throw a bomb, the way I see it is like knocking somebody's head every time on Mother Earth. Do you understand the damage that is already doing to the atmosphere, to the world? Every time you throw a bomb, why can't they understand the sensitivity of it is wrong? This is leadership. Is it? Do you blame TikTokers for that now? This is not TikTokers throwing the bomb. All they are doing is dancing. So we want to blame TikTokers for dancing and doing steps. Who is it? Who says let's go to another war? Is it the TikTokers? So leadership has failed. Leadership has been failing. That even by the time TikTok came, they should have devised a way where we're dancing and still being, there's still a lot of education in it.
I
James
think
Brown
that
sang, I'm black and proud, say it loud. So we were dancing, but we were being educated, right? Bob Marley was dancing, but we were being educated. Fela was dancing, but we were being educated.
no,
So
exactly.
there's a, education is so important that when you kill education, we are going to just have a lot of tyrants that will grow up. And of course, the world is going to get to a place where it will be unbearable for everybody, even us when we get old, because the young people will not even understand they are going to get old. Nothing has prepared them themselves for old age.
I think it's a brilliant place to actually bring in your history, and your dad, because you're talking about history, and history, of course, is hugely important. And I know that as well as your dad, you've cited Miles Davis and John Coltrane. Why are they important to you and to the continuance of music today?
Let me start from here. I say a lot of Africans go to America, they fill in stadiums. But history should have taught them that. There was a time black people could not even go through the front door to perform. That the reason they can go and make a success of their lives today is because there were so many before them who got killed, sacrificed their lives for even people like me to have the opportunity to tour. Before me, there were so many others. So when you don't respect that history and you think, oh, I'm the greatest now, already that attitude is arrogance, is doomed to fail. That character of yours is doomed to fail. Miles is very important for me because apart from the music, when you hear him talk, he's very human. He talks about the problems. The music speaks the suffering of Black Americans in America. When you hear John Coltrane play, you hear it. It's soulful. When you hear the blues, bebop, Charlie Parker. So when you understand this history and the environment of where they grew up and they are playing, what it took them to be where the hours, the dexterity, the improvisation to arrive there. And don't forget something, it was called jazz, nonsense. Now everybody's playing it. It was a music that was not respected. They fought for it. It was intellectually high. And by the time Americans understood it, wow, everybody wanted to be part of that history.
Like the
Rock,
70s.
funk. So when you don't understand it and you just jump into it and just think, oh, there's no history to this, it's all about me. It's like me thinking I am where I am without my father's sacrifice. I am where I am because of the sacrifice my father made, the beatings. And I would still tell you, he wasn't the conventional father. He had his flaws, a lot. We had a lot of battles. But how can I still not respect what he did? I saw the beatings. I cried as a young person. Wow. My son believes I'm even traumatized because I was part of it at some point in my life too. How can I ignore that history and now start acting all arrogant? That history makes me humble. That history scares me for myself and my children. That, wow, we can't go back there again. It can't repeat itself again. So I do everything to protect them, myself, that we can't afford that. And if it does come, we have to defend ourselves. So that's why history and all these things are important for us. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
So,
I understand it perfectly, and
um,
it just
Miles
brings
Davis and all these people are important because of all this. James Brown is important because of this. Peter Tosh, um, Bob Marley, Jimmy Cliff. This
Miriam
was a time,
Makeba. Hugh
Oh,
Masekela,
please, your
Audrey
name,
Kidjo,
please.
Baba Mal,
Baba Mal, Yusundo, Selif Keita.
Lucky Dubai.
Look at, please, so many. Do you know what it took them to be able to even get a gig? Do you know how much they had to bow to be saying, "Oh, please, please, please"? I was, I was part of that. There's a story of mine that Bang 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 sold so much, and I asked my recording company, so I must be in some millions. And they told me, oh, sorry, you are not in the millions at all. You even owe us money. And to cut the long story short, I sacked my management. The recording company now sacked me, saying I had the audacity to come from Lagos to sack my European management. And they paid me off, basically. So you see, for me fighting for my rights, I was sacked. And ever since then, I've been producing my own tours till to date. I produce my tour. I pay everything. I have to do my own publicity because I was blacklisted. So the battle still goes on. Do I want the same from my son? Of course not. If my son doesn't respect because he sees what I'm going through as a father, getting the visas, playing flight tickets, the boss, salaries, blah, blah. If he doesn't see all this, he has a big problem.
No,
And
absolutely.
I don't wish him to go through the headaches I'm going through right now, even at my age. I want it to be simpler for him. So, but he has to respect that history. He has to respect Fela. He has to respect all these artists I've spoken about. Because I tell him, you know, one thing I was thinking about the other day, the world has changed so much. And I was telling him that, look at all these actors. Do you know how many people go to acting school? But very few get to the top. Can you imagine the competition? For you to be a Denzel Washington, wow. You think he's the only black artist? Think. There are thousands of, hundreds of black artists trying to make it. I got to LA one day. You see somebody serving you coffee. Oh, and we get talking. He says, oh, I'm an actor. And you're serving coffee. Wow, that speaks a lot to somebody like me. That it's hard. It's hard for people. So you have to be very respectful. You have to be very humble in life. When we built the shrine 1,000 years ago, that land could have been a graveyard, could have been a battle. So my culture and tradition tells me when you are stepping on the floor, be very respectful because thousands, millions of people have passed through there. And you have to be respectful of the floor you are dancing and shouting on. So it's a shrine.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the shrine and let's talk about your dad and let's bring it back full circle because this is where we started. You actually, your mum and dad split up. You lived with your mum, but then at age 15, you joined your dad's band, the greatest band in the continent, and you were on sax and you were aged 15 and you
I ran
went to
away.
that. They call it like I think, do you know Della used to see me?
Of course, it
Of course.
was. I brought him to stay with us. I
Okay.
brought him. Yeah, it
Okay.
was
Well,
my. We were in school together.
yes, well, he tells me about being at the shrine from the age of 15, and he basically calls it the University of Life. But we're talking about your dad, and I want to take you back. Can you actually remember what it felt like your first gig? Standing there on the stage with your dad. Like Miles, he was an absolute stickler for perfection and excellence. What was it
No,
like?
my first experience was in the studio with my father and Roy Ayers.
Ah,
The
okay.
album. I already started to learn because I ran away. I left school and I moved into Kalakuta. So I was already in a year in Kalakuta, and but Dele went to complete his education. I left. My
Okay.
father advised me to leave. So I'd already gone to Kalakuta a year before Dele chose me, for instance.
Okay.
So I was already recording Africa with Roy Ayers. So I was learning the sax, and he just calls me. Are you not ready? Okay, come and play this. And I'm saying, come and play this. And it's very simple piece. Ba-da, bam, ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. I think we spent 5 days. I'm joking. That's how it felt. It was just one
Yes.
session. It
Yes.
felt like
Yes.
forever. And it was
Yes.
a play, and I kept missing the notes. Anyway, finally I got it. I was shaking. But I grew confidence after that. The next time was then I joined the band. We played in Shrine. Then my next big one was taking a solo in Ife. So I don't even know why I did that. I must have been so high. Must have
Okay.
smoked too much. Fella, I want to take my first solo. He says, "You want to take a solo?" Okay, thousands of students. And I get there. I couldn't even, I was shaking. When I saw all these faces on, I was shaking like a leaf. Yeah, I was shivering. I said, wow. Well, after a while, you are so ashamed, and you either give up or, being Fela's son was so hard. You had a base just saying you are the best, but deep down you knew you were so useless, really. I knew I couldn't play, but everyone said, you are so great, you are so great. And it was listening to jazz that saved me. I knew I could never be Charlie Parker or all these great people. I couldn't even believe their dexterity. So I said, well, I can find Femi. And it was the same mathematics I used. I can't be Fela. If I was going to be Fela, God would have made me Fela. But I can be Femi. So find Femi.
Yeah.
Find yourself in this chaos. So I said to search for myself. A lot of people couldn't understand what I was doing. But I think these are the things that this mindset is what gave me graciousness to be where I am today, to challenge and say, I wish we were going the right way, but what if I died before him? So why do I want my father to die? What kind of thought is this? Scary, not nice thoughts. I like to have positive thoughts, you know. I like to look for positive answers in so much in a chaotic situation. So yeah, playing, I would say growing up in Kalakuta gave me an insight to life that I probably would not have had anywhere. All my friends went to university, and my university was Kalakuta, but it had a lot of flaws as well. I think I owe a lot to my mother. Nobody talks about my mother, but my mother was very prayerful. I think her prayers did a lot for me.
Well, you
I
say that
think
you say nobody talks about your mum, and
no,
you
they
talked
know they
about
hardly ask about
you.
my mother. What's
Well.
I
Let me
think
do.
she
Let
was
me.
a major force in my life.
No, absolutely. Let me do something. So, you have talked about the political persecution that happened for your dad that you've witnessed. And it wasn't just your dad, it was your family that burnt your grandmother's house as well. And you saw he was incarcerated. That was, in inverted commas, a wrong. It was wrong. He shouldn't have been incarcerated. You lived through all of that. And when Fela passed, you actually went back to your mum. And it was your mum.
No, I went back
No?
to my mom long before Fela passed.
All right, okay. But it
Yeah,
was your
well,
mum who kind of
I
gave you
went
your
back there.
mojo, didn't she? When you were kind of searching for who you were, it was your mum who kind of gave you your mojo back,
No, that
wasn't it?
was my maternal grandmother
Ah, okay, okay. Come on then. Who
because
have we
Fela
got?
was incarcerated by Buhari at this time. So I moved back to my mother. And my maternal, she's very British. So I came to see her. I was so Fela's son, so arrogant because everybody had told me I was the best thing that happened to mankind. So I walked into the house and I said, staying there. And one day she comes to meet me, said, you know what? What kind of lousy musician are you? You have been here for 2 weeks and you haven't picked up your horn once, bloody. And she's very British. And she said, so things that you couldn't talk to me like that. Who are you? Who? Who will have spoken to me like who fights?
Your
You
mum
can't talk to me
can.
like that.
Yeah, your mum
And
can.
she left my maternal mom. So she went, we're in a flat, a two-bedroom apartment. So she went back to my mother's room and I could hear her. I gave him a piece of my mind, bloody son. Who the hell does he think he is? Fela's son, my, you know.
Yes.
I was so angry, but he was so truthful. I wept all night. So I picked up my own the next day. I could hear her again say, stupid bloody cow.
Oh,
So,
bless.
but that talking saved me. That was when I just had to look inwards and see. So what if I'm Fela's son? So what? Who do I care? I better put the work. I better get to work. So I said to, and we were staying, Dele moved in with my mother with me to in my mother's house. So we all started to put the work. I think Dele was probably just laughing at me because they really gave me a piece of their minds, you know.
Yeah.
That, but that changed all of us. I think there we were brought back to earth. That saved us. I think if I grew up in Kalakuta, I don't think I think I'll have had this terrible arrogance about my character that I wouldn't have loved myself for. So I'm always grateful to her, you know. I think
You
she did that for me.
you have said that you need to be in Africa to write about Africa. And I just wonder, with this new album, you haven't quite um, got rid of your political thoughts because sorry's there in the what is it, the political one? Done no politics, something done,
Don't
don't
expose them.
something.
Politics don't expose them.
That's it. Politics don't expose them. That's sorry. Or at least that's kind of the hook of sorry in it. And you're still talking about politics, aren't you? You've not let up.
No, politics is should be in the forefront of all our topics. So as much as I am looking inwards, I still have to step on the streets. So I still have to go to the healthcare. My children go to school. So we're still part of a society and a community and all this. So, but I think it's still very important for self-development, self-spiritual development of everybody. But we cannot avoid, we all need one another. And this is political. For us to agree that we have to drive on the right side of the road, for instance, it's political. It's a political decision for us to decide everybody deserves good health care. That's a political decision. So politics it will always be an essential part of my compositions. Whether I grew up in this environment, so it's impossible to avoid or evade it. It's not possible for that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you can separate. It doesn't seem like you can separate the
Even
two.
if I tried.
Well, I just wonder, because again, going on about AI and what young people are doing today, and when they do think anything's possible, and they just sit down in front of a keyboard and off they go, and they've produced something. And AI can't replace the heart and the soul of a composer like you, surely.
It can't. I mean, we'll pretend for a while, maybe 2 decades, 3 decades, but eventually the world will come to its senses. You know, the world will always, and this is again political, you see. When I told somebody yesterday, I have absolutely nothing wrong with what young people are doing. But what you do when you are 50, you can't still act 20. So that's why it's important to study music well. One of the flaws my father made, I think, was not teaching me how to read and write music. So we had this big fight. This probably helped me in making me work harder. I don't know. Or achieving what I probably, if I went to school, I wouldn't have written the kind of music I'm writing today. But because I knew the challenge ahead of me, I was forced to work hard to create a track like Sorry Sorry or Truth Don't Die or Bang Bang Bang. I don't know. But because when I was touring, I used to meet children of 15 reading. And I was like, why can't I? Why did my father do this for me? And I felt very embarrassed. So you see, my son, he reads perfectly. He writes. He composes. He's so subtle, the way he just does. And I said, Daddy, you are traumatized. Just face your life. and but it brings so much joy to me that wow, this is how it should have been. Well, I'm thankful I could do this.
Yeah,
Wow.
and you did the album with him, didn't you?
Yes. His first album, he played every single instrument himself. He got to Paris telling the engineer, I'm going to play everything. And he says, please, nobody does that. Blah, blah, blah. I'm playing everything. Playing the trumpet, I'm playing the sax, I'm playing the drums, I'm playing the guitar, I'm playing the bass, even the percussions, and I'm going to finish everything in 2 weeks. He says, not possible, blah, blah. And then he does it, You see, he should have been in the forefront for younger boys and girls to emulate. That's political. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
But maybe because of the family history, they don't want a Fela grandson being in that kind of situation. But if we don't give our children this kind of education, it's problematic for society. So you see, at 3, Europeans, Chinese, they're training their children to be great musicians. Many of them will not arrive top, top, top. But a pharmacist cannot be a doctor. We have to understand this. A nurse is not a surgeon. As like the medicine profession has its engagement of individuals, so music is. It's very serious business. It's not about fame, fortune, and what we are made to believe it is. And it takes only wisdom for you to realize that even when you get famous, you start to say, gosh, I'm not God. There's something wrong here. And all you want, truly, as an artist, is peace and quiet. Yes, you want people to know your music and all that, but you don't want all that, so much noise. You start to wish, I wish I had a normal life like everybody. I wish I could just go to a bar without people, it's not,
recognizing you and all the rest of it.
yeah, you need it sometimes, but I think deep down, many composers or musicians just wish for peace and quiet. Can I just put the music out? People love it, dance. Can I have a normal life? Can I not be always the center of attraction? Where people are like, you don't, you don't, you don't have a life anymore. Your life becomes everybody's life. And so I think so many things are not right in that respect as well.
Let me suggest something else to you. When you were at your dad's place with that Egypt's 80, you were doing, I think it's something like 2 or 3 sets a day, 364 days of the year or something. I mean,
Yeah, we're playing
absolutely
four
brilliant.
times a week.
All right, so you were playing 4 times a week, but the thing itself was having what, sessions going on all the time, and people were coming out to hear it all the time.
Yes.
Okay, well, that was grueling, and you were young. And I'm just wondering of kind of the toll that this might have taken. And I wonder if kind of you then get into your own stuff and you do all of your own writing and thinking. And then you reach this stage now where I think I've heard you say no one was listening. So you kind of turn it back in on yourself and do this introspection. Is that enough for you, Femi, now, for you to be going forward? Is that your path forward now? Definitely. It's about introspection and it's about taking that joy from within and expressing that outwardly through your music. Is that enough?
I don't know if it's enough, but it's the first step. When I left my father, his fan base were very angry. And it took me like 10 years to be popular on my own. And when I had my first hit, Wonder Wonder, everybody thought my father wrote the song. And then Bang 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 came out after I passed. It was the album that really took Afrobeat to another level because people thought it wasn't possible using computers to enhance creativity. And Shocky Shocky album was blew everybody's mind, and that took me places. And before I started having my problems with the recording company, he wanted me to go one direction, I wanted to go another direction. I didn't want to lose my roots and all that. Uh, I think because of my life, I'm very fearful of. I can't stop working. My family, my children, Daddy, rest. You need to rest. You are not young again. I'm so scared of, it's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is not to be able to go on stage and give the same energy I was giving 30 years ago. And that's why I think, again, education is so important because it tells you, unless you grow up with your peers. I had nobody, it was just me and Kalakuta, Fela's son. And so it's very difficult for me to say, wow, I went to this university. This was how we did it. You know, I set the rules and standards for myself. And I'm trying to find peace and quiet and where to even go on a holiday. And I can't. I'm so scared as a person. I'm so scared of like taking 3 days off. If I take 3 days off, do you know how many hours of practice I've lost? And but daddy, all the years, what are you going to still lose? And I can't even explain this to my children who are getting very agitated with me these days. So, but having said that, I love how my life has turned out. So that's why I say probably this is my path in life.
Okay.
And maybe my children, Madi and the rest of them will analyze it for me. But I I find a lot of beauty and love in my own chaos, the chaos I've created for myself. That if I wasn't doing what I was doing, I probably would rather be dead.
Oh,
Because
stop it.
no, it's true. I found love and beauty just picking up my sax or trying to learn something more. When I'm nervous and all this, I still find something in it that keeps me alive, that I want to, ah, I did 6 hours today. I can go to bed and say, yes, I go to bed completely drained and tired. But that's Femi Kuti. That's me. And when I can't do that, then I'm lost.
Do
So
you know
it's
something? Do you know something? I always talk about music being about it's how it makes you feel and how it's a conversation. Obviously the musicians play it and the reciprocated part, if you like, is how the audience receives it. But I always say music is about how it makes you feel. And I also say that music is medicine for the soul. And I know that you do analogies as well around medicine and about music being sweet and this, that, and the other. And you've just now talked about your fear of stopping performing. And here you are about to start this grueling European tour, not as young as you used to be. And I just wonder for you, is music the medicine or is it the drug? Ah.
the way I say it. I think composers are just mediums that higher forces use. And if you give your soul to this force, this force it's just a force we can't put our fingers. Music is the only profession you can't touch. It touches you. If you give yourself to it, it will use you. And you have to be gracious in that. It's what makes you humble. Because if you ask me where it comes from, I don't know. I just practice. I heard this sound. Is it mine? How can I say it's mine? It's for everybody. So I think I'm just a medium higher forces use. And I'm enjoying the ride. I love it. Getting ready for the tour. I'm doing my exercises to be physically fit, mentally ready, because it's at 63, it's hard to do 5 gigs in a row, one day off, not lose my voice. The next venue doesn't care. I've done 10 gigs already. So I have to arrive fresh every time. You know, some people think I'm arrogant on the road, but I have to be in a zone that if I live there, the tour fails. So I have to be quiet. I have to be very in myself. Nothing must go wrong. I have to be healthy. And if I even get a cold or cough, I have to make sure I'm healed before the evening. So everything is so, you are caught up in all this, and people want you, and people say hi, and you have to be careful. So it's like I said, it's something I enjoy, and I have to walk in this path in this path of my life because I enjoy it. But I do appreciate where I am. I'm gracious for it because I know when I live this life, that's my story. And probably some angels will come and meet me and say, well, we gave you this and you did quite a good job. Okay, you are very lucky because you appreciate it. You know, I like cheaply like that, you know, but we are all accountable for our actions in this life, I think. And if you're not going to do it properly and truthfully, don't do it at all. And I think music gives you this wisdom and vision. It is through music that we come up with all this brilliant. You see, the surgeon, the lawyers, we all go back to listening to music. The way we walk, the way we make love, everything is musical. Everything in this life, the universe is musical. It makes you have to. How can you be arrogant with such knowledge? How can you? How can you think it's about just about you? And the more humble you are, the more appreciative you are, the more you have foresight and wisdom to be able to help yourself, and hopefully others in this rootless passage of life. Life is so difficult. I was telling my son 2 days ago, you know, parents owe their children a lot because you just had sex and you just had the children. And there was no contract to say you are going to have to eat every day, you are going to go to school, you're going to have to start. And we make it so beautiful as if it's so nice, but it's so difficult. And there's nothing, you're not prepared, I think, from heaven before you arrive. Oh, what a beautiful baby, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, eat, then you fall sick, injections, viruses, da, 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 da. So I was thinking, wow, you know, we hugged ourselves. I said, see, I hope I've given you a beautiful life after all this, you know, because we can't explain all this. We can't explain life to its fullest. Life is, but again, the good thing about life is, I know you don't like hearing this, is death. Because we are accountable. You don't escape your sins, I don't think. So you can be foolish and think you are wise. It catches up with you. There's a track called, in one of my albums, Best to Live on the Good Side. So these are my thoughts. So I've already been going in this direction quite for a while.
Time. You know, you say you don't like to think about death, and I think that death
No,
is.
I said you don't like hearing about it.
No. I don't want to hear about your death because I want you here forever. You know, this is what we do selfishly as the
Well, you
fans.
see,
We
that's the
just want
thing.
you there and just
No,
perform, and
but I
that's
will
it.
be, again, I will be there forever. My work will be there.
I know. But
You
what I
see,
was going
so
to say, what I was going to say to you is that, you know, my dad always had his favorite saying was, the only thing that you're sure of in life is death. And so
yes,
you should make sure that you live every single day as though it's your last. And I think, you know, it's not so much that that people um, I was going to say it's the way that people behave. You would imagine that we're all Christian and we're all lovely and this, that, and the other. But actually, it's about how you live your life. It's not about how many prayers you do. It's about how good you are to the people who are around you. It's about the kindness that you can give. It's about, as I say, it's about how you live your life. It determines whether or not, you are a decent human being. And I think that's all we all want to be, a decent human being.
What I tell my children is your actions are your prayer. It's not by kneeling down and saying God or that. No, your actions are your prayer. Every action because the force is here, that God hears you, He hears your heart. So how can you be prayerful, but then you are committing adultery with your friend's wife, for instance? Then the next day you go to church for forgiveness. Then you do it again and again. Or you steal the meat from the cooking pot. Your conscience already tells you it's wrong. So your action is your prayer. When you control temptation, you're already in a prayerful mode. And that's what we should be taught. It's not by kneeling down and say, oh, I'm praying. And, well, how do you do all that? And you still be wicked and you still go out to kill and you still go to bomb in the name of Christianity or Islam or whatever religion it is. How do you take a life? How can you be so religious and then still kill without remorse? How? So your action already, your conscience should already tell you, do not take another life because you won't want your life to be taken or you want your children's lives to be taken. You want your children to go to war. So why do you send others to war? So life, for me, from the minute I wake up, I'm in a prayerful mood. Everything I do. And when I go to sleep, same. I hope my dreams too reflect my thoughts of trying to be righteous. I think the path of is, we know from historical events, is to be righteous in life. We can't be God or anything, but, and it's where nobody's above sin, but we have to keep on striving. And it's that striving that is the prayer. I want to be good. I want to be nice. I must do my job properly. I cannot be corrupt. I cannot steal. This is already prayerful. It's not, oh God, help me. Then I go and steal. Oh God, help me. I beat up my child for no reason without explaining your fault. Oh God, oh, I did this. And then you repeat this for 20, 30 years of your life. Somebody was saying, oh, I live long. We can't even judge living long. There is this story. This guy wanted to live long, and death came. Said, it's time for you to die. He said, I'm not ready. And they said, okay, you can stay. Then his wife dies, his brothers dies, his sister dies, he's alone. And his children die, his grandchildren die. He lives, and then he's unhealthy, nobody to take care of him. And then he says, Death, please take me. And Death passes. Oh, Death, I'm ready. He said, do you think I'm jobless? No, do you really think I'm jobless? I came to pick you, and you said you are not ready. Please don't disturb me. Oh, I'm ready. And he left him for a few more years. So life is to always be ready.
Yes.
Always be ready. My children don't like it, but I tell them, always be ready. If the scriptures even tell us there's a better place, why don't you want to go to that better place? So it's not a newborn baby that dies at birth. Are you sure he or she hasn't gone to a better place? Maybe that was the end, and you are heaven or another planet where it's better. You did not have to go through the chaos of life. We have found a way to make life beautiful, but it's not truly beautiful. You go to the hospital, waking up, striving every day. And I think that's this importance of music helps us. It heals our mental, um, it heals us mentally to be able to go through. So you hear a good sound. You don't know when 2 years has gone. I just call to say I love you. You use it through your university or school. Before you know it, you have passed university. Oh, that was the sound. I met my wife. We're singing this song melody. So those melodies help us. That's why music is it has to be done properly. It helps us go through life. It helps us deal with death when we lose loved ones. Oh, dear body, you cry everything out. So music is important for us.
It's absolutely important. And the best thing about it is you are still creating beautiful music, Mr. Femi Kuti.
Thank you.
And you are definitely an Afrobeat torchbearer. And you're an ambassador for peace and love, as we've just heard. And I can't wait to come and see you. You're in Manchester on the 25th of April. I can't wait. And thank you very much indeed for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for talking to me.
Who?
I really hate talking these days. So it's good to have a good interviewer who is making me go against my will.
All right. Well, I hope that this one wasn't too against you, Will, and I hope that you
No,
enjoy.
it was, like I said, it's a lesson for me to when I even speak, I have to listen to myself. I have to obey my thoughts. I'm a student to thought as well. It's not me. I just hear these things and because I know it can be better, we can be better. I have to train myself. I have to be a good father. It's difficult to be a good father. When your children irritate you, you have to learn to apologize. It's very difficult to apologize when you're wrong. When you're wrong, you have to apologize. I have to go and kiss I was really angry yesterday. I should have told you in a subtle way that I didn't have to shout at you. Please forgive me. I love you. It's hard, but that's the way to go. It's hard.
Absolutely.
You have to forgive yourself as well when you have made mistakes. That's hard. Because when you make a mistake, you say, why I should have known. But we are prone to that. So you have to learn to forgive yourself. So I teach myself. So I'm not one kind of God or master. I'm a student.
Okay. Well, I think we all are. And, I am absolutely blessed that every conversation I have, I learn something new. And I've certainly enjoyed my time with you today. So thank you very much indeed.
Okay. Stay strong. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.